Hi everyone, welcome back to another video, and today is a very special occasion where we are going to be going into the 2020 Rising event. So this event is just celebrating kind of the rebirth of Final Fantasy XIV from that disaster of 1.0. But in the game, the Rising event is celebrating the fact that you didn't die when Bahamut's Calamity kind of rained down on everyone. So the quest here is actually in Udall, and it's called Art of Glass. Hello there. Would I be correct in assuming you come to view my exhibition? You see, I'm an artist by trade, and my chosen medium is stained glass. While it's not the easiest thing to work with, the results are worth the considerable effort required. It's taken me a while to reach this point in my career, and this is actually my first public showing. I was wondering, if it's not too much of a bother, if I might give you a brief explanation on the subject matter. Then pray, my good lady, cast your eyes on yonder pane. 'Twas the final days before the fall of Dalamud, an inexorable approach foretelling our impending doom. Panic spread like wildfire, while many in their desperation turned on the Sultanate. Looting and rioting broke out across Udall. To quell the masses, Her Royal Majesty Nanamo Ul Namo took to the streets with a guard consisting of only 7 subjects, for they alone had the courage to stand with their Sultana. There she addressed the rabble. Heed me, my beloved citizens. The realm lies upon the brink of the 7th umbral era. Yet so long as we live, we must not forget our compassion. Now is not the time to take from your neighbor, but to provide him the hand of succor. She was determined not to let the city that the immortal flames were risking their lives to defend tear itself apart in their absence. Her words brought the people to their senses. They laid down their arms and set about healing the wounds they themselves had inflicted on Udall. Thanks to Her Majesty's impassionate speech, those who returned from the battlefield found their homes much as they had left it, a gleaming jewel in the desert. It seems so long ago. To see the place today, you think that the people had entirely forgotten her words that day. The same hands that were once proffered and succor now grasp greedily at every last coin, even if it means one's fellow man must go hungry. It's times like this that we must remind ourselves of the sacrifices of those who came before us, which is why the Rising Festival is of such profound importance. I draw inspiration from Her Majesty's deeds all those years ago, and through my work, perhaps others might do the same. Dear me, I better stop before I'm overcome with emotion. There are, in fact, matters to which I must yet attend, and if I'm not mistaken, you are an adventurer, yes? I have something you might be able to help you with, if you're willing. In addition to having my stained glass on display, it's been arranged that a Wandering Minstrel will give a recital as part of the festivities. I'm looking to gather as many spectators as possible, but I fear I'll struggle to cover the necessary ground by myself. Perhaps you could give me a hand? 12, bless you, madam. I plan to hand out these flyers, and with 2 of us, we'll be able to reach twice the number of people in the same span of time. If you'd be so kind as to look for potential attendees around the steps of Thal, I'll head for the Sapphire Avenue Exchange. Let's meet there when you're done. He seems like a nice guy. Okay, so what I don't get is why he's only having just one, like... I don't want to say portraits. Yeah, a piece of artwork. So I'm wondering why he would be having an exhibition with just one piece of artwork. That's just me, though. Anyway, if you don't know the story, it was pretty much like how he said so. It was actually I think it was the Tales of the Calamity, where Nanamo was, she was kind of dejected. She was heartbroken about having Raubon gone, and she kind of had to kind of step up for really the first time and be the Sultana. Yes? Considering that it is designed to advertise an art exhibition, this flyer strangely does not include any illustrations. Perhaps Jabentia was unwilling to compromise his artistic vision by working with such humdum materials as paper. It does sound rather intriguing. If it's the same minstrel my associates have mentioned on occasion, I'd best go and see what all the fuss is about. I hear he's rather talented. Well, he is, if you know who he really is. But yeah, so that event was really the first time that Nanamo kind of stepped up and really took control of the situation. And she had like the five brothers from the Thaumaturge Guild as well as Papa Sean and Pippin. They're kind of helping to support her as she kind of got everyone's attention and they calmed down. May I help you? Stained glass, depicting the Sultana herself, no less. I've always been a loyal supporter of hers, and it would be remiss of me to pass up such an opportunity. I shall be sure to attend. Yeah, I wonder why he's not doing, like, portraits, like, from all the other stories, like, from the Tales of the Calamity. I mean, I'm not saying do all of them, but you could at least do a couple. And just give us a little bit more than just one portrait. Got something you want digging up? Can't say I'm much of an expert when it comes to music and fine arts, but it ain't often a bloke like me gets a chance to sample the high life. I'd be a fool to miss it. So he's still on the Sapphire Avenues. Alright, we can head on out there. But yeah, I'm thinking like maybe 2 or 3 more portraits. Yeah, I think that would have been nice. But I can't wait to see the Wandering Minstrel again. I wonder what he's been up to since we last talked to him. I mean, we always get a very interesting cutscene, like during the Rising events. I'm wondering what they're going to have this time. And who are these guys? I didn't know better. I think you were trying to avoid me. All the rotten luck. All done? Much appreciated. But I'm afraid I've run into a bit of a problem. I was in the process of handing a flyer to this gentleman when my friend Aston showed up out of the blue. As chance would have it, these two chaps are previously acquainted, though they do not appear to be on particularly good terms. But how am I supposed to pay you back if the amount keeps going up? If you had coughed up the money on the day we originally agreed, there wouldn't be so much interest to pay. You've only got yourself to blame. At Aston, your interest rates weren't so high, perhaps he'd have been able to pay you back by now. I'm not saying you should wipe the slate clean, but surely you could come to a compromise. All I want is for him to honor our agreement. What's wrong with that? Besides, I've held up my end of the bargain, so why should I have to be the one to compromise? But let's say I give you the benefit of the doubt, that you generally lack the means to pay me back. I'll grant you 1 week's extension, but if you still don't have the money by then, there'll be consequences. Only a week? Oh, right, you damned vulture. You'll get your gill, and I'll be rid of you for good. I'm sad to say that such incidents are part of everyday life in Udall. Someone in financial difficulty sees a moneylender as the answer to their woes, like an oasis in the desert. But it's only a mirage, an illusion of salvation, leading them to an even greater debt. Then again, many debitors will borrow money without any intention of paying it back, relying on an endless stream of short-term solutions. I hope that those who look upon my art will remember the words of the Sultana and seek to help rather than exploit one another. Those two chaps you saw arguing just now would benefit from it, I'm sure. You know, Aston wasn't always like that. He picked me up when I was down more times than I can count. We both grew up on the streets of Udall with no one to turn to but each other. The only reason I'm even here today, making a living as an artist of all things, is because of Aston and his talent for business. With a few words and a couple of handshakes, he could turn a gill into a gold mine. But as the years passed, it became an obsession. No matter how much coin he made, it was never enough. I wish he realized there was more to life than personal gain, but nothing I say gets through to him. That's part of the reason why I turned to stained glass art in the first place. It can express my inner thoughts far better than words ever could. Well, my words, at any rate. Oh goodness, I do apologize. You must think I'm an awful bore to rope you into helping only to bombard you with the complaints and sob stories. But enough of that. It's high time I return to the exhibition and prepare for the arrival of the minstrel. Okay, so I kind of see where the story is going so far. We're going to help the people here kind of remember that, these are hard times for everyone and that we really need to be offering a handout to each other. I wonder if that's a reference to 2020 right now. Because let's just face it, 2020 has not been kind to anybody. Alright, so let's see what's going to happen now. Distraught youth. If we had known this had happened, we would never have gone near it. Oh no. Oh no, see, it's not there. Something happened. There you are. I hate to say this, but we run into a slight problem, and by slight problem, I actually mean a rather huge catastrophe. So huge, in fact, I need a moment to compose myself. While I'm loath to impose upon you any further, I have a feeling I may need your help again, or at least some moral support. Okay, I don't need a big imagination to figure out what happened, but... Okay, so we have another quest here, the Sultana 7 and the wind-up Oddbird. What he lacks in size, he makes up for in heart, and his disproportionately large axe. Okay, I love that part. And the Sultana 7. Okay, the quest is called Glass from the Past. Giabentia's heart is not the only thing that is broken. Alright, enough panicking. It's time for decisive action. While we were out distributing flyers, these children were a little overzealous when it came to admiring my artwork. It seems they were unaware of the look but don't touch rule that normally applies to these things, and, well, it fell on the floor and shattered. Okay, this calls for 6 of the best. No, their punishment must be more severe. I suggest staging a play based on the same scene. I'll be Nanamo. Well, I don't think either of those is exactly the answer to the problem, but yeah, I mean, I'll be Nanamo until you can get the whole thing fixed. Not the first thought that crossed my mind, I must admit. The recital is due to begin any moment now, so the only viable option is to repair the smashed pane as best we can. I think that with a little adhesive here and there, the spectators will hardly notice the cracks. Unfortunately, I don't have any to hand at present. While I run off to fetch some bonding agent from the Alchemist Guild, perhaps you could try piecing the broken glass back together? Don't worry, I'll show you how it's done. Oh, is this going to be like a puzzle? You ready to begin? Okay, yeah, it does look like it's going to be a puzzle. That's going to be cool. Oh, that's neat! So we just gotta put it all back together. That's a good thing, though, about stained glass. Because once you put the pieces all together, I mean, they're supposed to be looking like they're broken up. So who knows, it might look even better than before. But really, though, I don't see why those kids... But seriously, though, what were those kids thinking? Just... not touching it? I mean, that should be like rule number 1 that they're taught. Like, you don't touch like pieces of artwork like that. That's a big no-no. So they clearly, I don't know. It's common sense that they're lacking. It sounds like. Okay, so we'll just finish this up here. Yeah, it's going pretty well. Though I think that it's a little bit strange because you think that he would be the one who would be able to put it all back together because he made it, and then he would have us rushing off to go and pick up the glue, I suppose, to put the pieces back together. That's just me, though. Making good progress. We're almost done. Okay. No, I think it might actually look better with all the cracks in it. I mean, it actually looks like proper stained glass right now. Oh, darn. Alright. Well, what can you do? Yes, that's perfect. With a few dabs of adhesive, it would be good as new. Well, almost. Should certainly suffice for the time being, though. All's well that ends well, yes? The children were beside themselves with worry, but now they're as delighted as I am. Hmm? Oh, just a moment of nostalgia. I know from first-hand experience that moment of horror that comes when breaking an expensive piece of glass. A few years ago, I was helping Aston with one of his ventures as an art dealer. I was in desperate need of gil, so he hired me to transport a few pieces. That was when I dropped a case containing some valuable stained glass, and I'll never forget the awful sound it made. But rather than curse me for my clumsiness or fret over the money it cost him, his only concern was whether I'd cut myself in any of the shards. So you see, that's why I don't blame the children for their little misadventure. I suppose I'm following Aston's example. Actually, there's one more favor I'd like to ask of you. I think if Aston were to see my stained glass, it might remind him of the days when there were things more important to him than money. Of course, I've tried various approaches in the past, and most of what I say to him goes in one ear and out the other. But if it were to come from someone else, such as your good self, he might be more inclined to listen. Would you mind having a word with him? You're too kind. Perhaps you could start by handing him this flyer and going from there. I expect he's in the quicksand where he carries out much of his business. His clients tend to be a bit more manageable when they're in their cups, it seems. Anyway, if you could rouse his interest in the festivities, we'll leave the rest to him. I'm sad to say Aston's behavior has become rather easy to predict of late. Since his every waking moment is devoted to making others coin his own, it's not hard to guess where he'll be at any given moment. If he isn't in the tavern, he's most likely at the market. You know, I understand not being angry with the kids, I understand forgiving them, but the two situations are very different. I mean, sure, it was an accident, but you were, like, being paid to move, like, the stained glass. Those kids should have known better than to go up and touch a piece of artwork that was up on the wall for an exhibition. So, I mean, I would have at least told them off for that. I mean, sure, you were able to fix it, but a good scolding at the very least, so that they know better than to do it again. I remember you. Bryn's assistant, yes? Or maybe he's yours. Either way, I appreciate you looking out for him. He needs all the help he can get. I must say, if you've something that requires my attention, I'd rather you keep it brief. Yes, I know all about Brihan's exhibit, thank you. Keeping my ear to the ground as I do, there's little that goes on in Udall that escapes my notice. So why did he send you to advertise it to me? He wants to remind me of the good old days. I might have guessed it would be something as soppy as that. A lot's changed since then, but he's still the same daft sod he's always been. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, mind you. It's his sentimental side that allows him to create such evocative works of art. But I always felt that if he tried to make a living out of it, he'd lose the very essence of what makes his pieces so special in the first place. Rather than expressing himself, he'd have to pander to the tastes of wealthy but fickle clients to turn a profit. That's why I wanted to earn enough for the both of us, so that he'd be free to pursue his dreams. While he doesn't need me to pay for his bed and board anymore, I'm still around to help him if he falls on hard times. And just to make it perfectly clear, it's not that I don't want to attend the exhibition. I decided not to go because if people were to think that a brand associated with a moneylender like me, it would ruin his good reputation. But if he insists that I go, perhaps I can make an appearance without drawing too much attention. Tell him I'll think about it, would you? Aww. So, he's really not such a bad guy, it looks like. I mean, he definitely cares enough for his friend that he's willing to go the extra mile for him. So, it's all about a miscommunication here that's going on. So what did he say? He said he'll think about it. Oh, yeah, I can see people are already loving the stage. I'll just have to wait and see then. Whatever the outcome, I'm very grateful for all you've done. I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear I've saved you the perfect spot from which to view the event. Citizens of Udall, by my words be transported to the days before the Calamity, a time when all hope seemed lost. As the lesser moon hung low in the sky, a wave of terror washed over this fair city, turning neighbor against neighbor, brother against brother. There in the midst of chaos she stood defiantly, and so our tale begins. Hearken now to the Sultana's 7. Astonishing! I could see the events of that fateful day in my mind's eye as vividly as I see you now. Such a profoundly moving performance would surely have touched the hearts of everyone in attendance. Aston, you came after all! An artist you may be, but subtle you are not. Now is not the time to take from your neighbor, but to proffer him the hand of succor. Message to all of Udall, I'm sure, but also one meant specifically for me. I have to admit the Sultana made a good point, and still stands to this day. Maybe it's time I thought about earning an honest living. I knew you'd come around sooner or later. And Aston, I can take care of myself now, so you needn't go to such lengths to support me. Glad to hear it. Let's get one thing straight. I didn't become a moneylender just to cover your expenses while you carved out a career as an artist. I just didn't want you to compromise your ideals and the quality of your work for the sake of keeping a roof over your head. And now you can concentrate on doing what you do best, bringing joy to people through your art. As for me, I should find a better use for my skills. Perhaps I can go back to being an art dealer. That way you can create whatever works you please while I seek out potential buyers. It certainly beats making commissioned pieces for some pretentious buffoon. You're suggesting we go into business together? Yes, unless you have any objections to working with a very recently reformed moneylender. Of course not. I don't know just where to start. Producing more paintings featuring the Sultana and her 7 trusty followers. Imagine the streets of Udall lined with stained glass depicting its lustrous history. The sparkling jewel of the desert will shine brighter than ever. This is more than I could have dreamed of. Of course, none of this would have been possible without your kindness, Claire. You probably hear elusive words of praise quite often in your line of work, but I sincerely mean it. Thank you for all you've done. Oh, and there was one other thing I meant to tell you. The Wandering Minstrel was, wondering if he could have a word with you. In fact, he has a present of sorts to give you. He should be somewhere nearby. Best of luck finding him. Aw, that's nice. Having trouble tracking down the Minstrel? Perhaps his wandering has already taken him to Pastors New? Oh, I doubt that. Thanks to you and Bran, I'm ready to turn over a new leaf. Once my debtors have given back what they owe, that is. And if they catch me whilst I'm still in a charitable mood, I might even be prepared to overlook the interest. Well, hopefully they find you soon then. I wonder why it's always over here. For every Rising event, it seems like we always go to, this one little part of Udall. Guessing it's a special place, but yep, here he is. Ah, you came, as I knew you would. Jabayantia speaks very highly of not only your skill at piecing together broken glass, but of your loyalty and compassion. Your virtues are many and varied indeed. Were it not for your contribution, the festival would have been without its centerpiece. My accompaniment of song was naught but a garnish to the fine dish that was our mutual friend's glorious work of art. Perhaps you will allow me to express my gratitude with another piece I have composed. Welcome, Warrior of Light, or should I call you Warrior of Darkness? You needn't be alarmed by these strange surroundings. Oh my god, it's all of them! Oh, look who it is! This is a world that exists outside your reality. Could it be a dream? A flight of fancy conjured by your weary mind? Perhaps, or perhaps not. It is an honor to be reunited with you in this world between worlds. I have been following your adventures with great interest. Your travels have taken you to lands far and wide, and you have encountered people of all walks of life, each with their own ideals, hopes, and dreams. As time flows onward in a never-ending spiral, the course of history is guided by mortal hands. Though our existence be brief, our deeds echo for eternity. 7 years have passed since the lesser moon descended. 7 years since mankind rose from the ashes. 'Tis a spectacle none shall ever forget, and that they live to tell the tale is cause for both celebration and reflection. When we cast our minds back, it is not sorrow that fills our hearts, but joy, for we have been afforded a second chance, that we may learn from the lessons of the past. And we set forth towards new horizons. Those with a thirst for adventure will lead the way. While there may be hardships and strife on the road ahead, there is no obstacle that we cannot overcome if we believe in ourselves and each other. Countless kindred spirits share our journey, and it is through mutual respect and understanding that we may create a better world. The future is what we make it, by our words and deeds, and we will forever be at your side, brave adventurer. You have our undying gratitude, now and always. The time has come for this vision to end. Time for your eyes to open from this waking dream. Ever will we be watching over you. Guide the realm onto peace and happiness, warrior of light and darkness both. Till next we meet. And lo, you are returned. Pray tell, are you left with pleasant memories, fleeting though they may be? That is well, for such visions are wont to fade all too quickly, as the morning dew in the light of the rising sun. Mayhap another of my verses would make a suitable gift ere we part. In the wake of calamity, light descend once more, to illuminate a world reborn, risen from fires of war. 'Neath the eyes of heaven, deception crumbles to dust, those divided by malice, united by bonds of trust. On fields awash in crimson, battles rage far and wide. In the name of liberty, the courageous few turn the tide. Onto a distant realm, drowned in radiance unrelenting, strives forth the harbinger of night's iron will unbending. Yeah, I'm not a singer. For the sake of their loved ones, there are those who take to the battlefield, yet those who remain behind have their roles to play. Protectors and the protected, providers and the provided for, principles upon which every nation is built. It is the duty of those who rule to ensure that the elements are kept in balance, even if they must face great peril. The words of the Sultana ring as true in the here and now as they did on that fateful day. May each of us take them to heart as we face a new dawn as one. Aww. You've unlocked the new Jigsaw puzzle game. Yay! Okay, Magnificent 7. There's no greater honor than to bring joy through one's art, as our mutual friend is beginning to discover. You okay? Okay, whatever. Alright, so let's see what we have now. We have the wind-up Oddbirds. Oh, that's so... It's so nice. I love Oddbird. I really do. He has to be like one of my favorite characters. Okay, this mammoth was created to honor Oddbird, the hero who fought to save the first as a warrior of light and darkness both. Though he passed from this world, his spirit lives on in all who ever thought to lend a helping hand to his fellow man, and literally in you. As brightly as a hero's tale shines, it is not without its shadows. Okay! So now we have to summon our new friend here. I wonder if they'll have like all the other warriors of light someday, like the wind-up Ronde Reagan. Oh my god! Look at that! It's that same emotion! It's like the same motion he made, when we were fighting against MXL. That was the same. Oh my god, I love that! That's a nice touch, Square Enix. That was a really nice touch. Okay, so we have the Rising Vendor. I'm getting a kind of a taste of a deja vu here from her appearance, but I'm just going to show you what each one of these fireworks is going to look like. I mean, I don't want to say fireworks, but it's okay. So we have the first one here, which is the Realm Reborn Red. So it's just us kind of spraying about like in celebration, kind of like on New Year's Eve. Oh, I wonder if we should do this on the stage, make that look better. No, they're kind of using it, so alright, that's fine. Alright, so let's go for the next piece. And we'll have the meteor shower. So we're gonna have to get a look back here. Yep, so that's the classic, like, main scenario symbol. Kevin's cracker. Okay, the meteor shower. That's cool. I love these little fireworks. I mean, they really aren't there for much except just to make things look cool, but you gotta love them. Okay, so those were all the fireworks that you can actually get from this round, and I'm just going to pay a quick visit to my home here in the lavender beds and show you what the picture looks like once it's hung up. Okay, here we are. So I found a nice little spot on the wall, and I think I'll keep this up for a little while. But it is identical to the portrait that we saw before. We have Nanamal with the 5 brothers from the Thaumaturge Guild. Well, there's technically 6 of them. But we also have Papa Sean and Pippin here around her. So yeah, that's actually a really nice piece of art if you ask me. It's a lot bigger than I thought it would be, but I enjoy it. But I think that this is a really nice addition to be adding, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do for next time. Alright everyone, so that was the Rising event for 2020. Like I said before, like 2020 has not been kind to anybody, but here's hoping that moving on to bigger and better things and that we can put any like bad stuff behind us. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good rest of your day.